is. Right, hello. Today's plan is to have a go at this toilet. It's not terrible, but it's sort of unfinished. Let me zoom out. So we recently had a leak at the back, which has popped off the skirting board, and then it sort of flooded the floor, which ruined it. So then we had to take it up. But the floor itself is actually really good. So the plan is we're going to clean the floor, put brand new flooring in. We're going to paint up to about here with this grey and then go the rest of the way with white. We want to keep this in a budget and do it as cheap as possible. So first things first, I need to completely gut this. I need to take this shelf off. This shelf needs to come out. All this needs to come off, and obviously the toilet holder. So we're going to get all that out. I'm going to clean the walls, fill the holes, try and fix this skirting board that's popped off at the bottom, and then really give the floor a good clean to make sure that our tiles stick to them. All right, let's get everything out so we can start transforming this toilet. Easy. Included in this disgusting toilet holder, which has been here, I think, so many years. It probably came with the house. Come off like that. So this looks really bad, and all it is a little bit of, I don't think the plaster's come off. Maybe a slight bit of plaster. So what we'll do here, we're gonna break up all the flaky bits, and then we'll just fill that, and then sand it down. It should be okay. Just be careful when you scrape, because you could easily take off too much plaster. Then sand it, and then that is a job done, ready to fill. So if you remember before, we had a leak behind the toilet. It was coming from here, and it's dripped all down here. And what it's done, it's pulled this board off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can get the whole board off. I might be able to. Yeah. Sand it down. Not sand it down, get rid of all the rough edges. Make sure it's okay, clean it up a bit, and just stick it back on. It should go on nicely, and then it'll just be like it never happened. So that's the plan. We're going to get that off, clean it, stick it back on. Then I'm going to clean the whole room, wipe the walls down with sugar soap, and then I'm going to start filling these holes and sand them down. So let's do that. So yeah, this is quite easy, to be honest. All I did was use a little chisel and the scraper to get rid of all the old adhesive and loose paint, and then I just sanded it all down. And then I just stuck it back on, and it was like it had never come off. Then after I stuck it back on, I put a bit of cork along it. I probably should use silicone just because where it is, but it's okay, it's done. I didn't leave it like that, by the way. I did smooth it out and make it look nice. And then once that was done, I went around the whole room and got rid of all the old silicone that was on the skirting boards, and then we could start sanding, I think, next. So everything is off the walls, as you can see, and the next step is to start filling some holes. So I just used some general purpose filler for the walls, scraped it on with a little scraper, and yeah, that was it really. Don't go too heavy with this because you're going to end up sanding so much afterwards. And then we went around and sanded everything, the woodwork. And then I forgot I need to sand down the radiator because that needs painting. It's a bit old and rusted. I think the previous owners had dogs and they scratched away at the top of the radiator. So all the radiators around the house like this, they're all like peeled off at the top. So we sanded that down. Once that was done, I got the electric sander onto the walls to flatten out all these patches. And like I said, I put a bit too much on, so I was sanding for a long time. But if you got the right tools, it's really easy. And then we could start washing down everything with sugar soap and a sponge. This was pretty easy. It's quite satisfying. The idea of this is to get rid of all the old grease and crap that's on the walls and the dust because we have sanded everything. And then I did go behind the toilet so many times and clean this with, first of all, antibacterial spray, and then I went around with the sugar soap just to make sure everything is clean before I started digging around there, because like I said before, 4 boys in the house, it's not going to be that clean, is it? All right, that is it. All the prep work is done. It's finally time to start painting. So I'm using some like white satin wood. It's water-based, easy to go on. I try to use water-based when I can, just because it's easier to wash off, because I get it everywhere. So let's get it on the radiator, onto the door. This is satisfying. This went on quite nicely. The whole house, again, brown doors everywhere, which is okay, but they're cheap brown doors. They're not nice, expensive doors, so they look pretty tacky. So these have all been sanded back, and I've painted the radiator, and the door has been painted. I just need to touch up a few bits on the door, but now we can start painting the walls. So that's the final bit really, but obviously because we're having like a split between, we're going to have to paint, let it dry, then tape up
because I want a nice clean line. Otherwise, if we tape too early, when we peel the tape off, it can rip the paint off with it. So we're going to paint the top half, let that dry, put the tape on, and then once that's dry, we can tape up and then do the bottom layer and get that nice crisp line, hopefully without any issues. So this is Dulux paint. It's just standard white emulsion. I got it for £10 thinking it was a good price, but honestly, I regretted it straight away. This paint was terrible. It went on in about maybe 5 or 6 coats it took me to get this on looking good. So my advice to you is get good paint. Don't buy this is like a value pack. It was £10 for like 2.5 litres. Get the more expensive paint because it's going to save you so much more time, and hopefully you can get it on in one coat. Right, that is one coat done. I need to let it dry, and I'm going to cut in again and give it another coat because it probably looks okay, but it's actually not great. The paint wasn't that great, but we will carry on and we'll be back in a minute with another coat. See you in a minute. So yeah, it took like 5 coats and probably 2 days to get this top layer on, but it's done and it actually looks good once it's dry. So now we can start taping up and getting these lines ready for the bottom coat, which is going to be a lovely dark grey. And I'm going to paint these pipes, so I'm going to go behind and around. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm using the yellow frog tape. I use this one because it's like for delicate walls. If you've just freshly painted, the yellow one's better. The green one tends to rip off in my experience. And then this part here, once I've gone round, I'm just going to put a slit in the corners and then retape up just because there might be a slight gap between. And then once that's done, that is pretty much it. I just need to go around the sink, around the door frame, and then everything is ready. Oh, and the skirting boards, and then it's ready to paint. So I'll be honest, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Getting this paint on the wall. So hopefully this will go in 1 or 2 coats. There you go, you can see the colour. It's like a dark grey. It's Johnson's paint. Again, I think it was £10 as well, but I've used this paint before and I know that it's pretty good. However, it did struggle on some areas. So maybe the walls were not as clean as I thought. With a roller, it goes on pretty well. There are some areas where it doesn't quite go on. It starts pulling the paint off. If this happens, don't try going over it. Just stop, let it dry, and then give it a couple more coats, and I promise you, it'll be fine. If you keep going over it, you just keep pulling the paint off. So satisfying. So let's get that paint on. I think it took about 2 coats to do, and it was good. So you can see here, right, just above the radiator, I think it must have been a bit greasy or something, but it was all right. It went on good. So the audio cutout here, I was pointing out that the first coat is on. It's looking pretty good. There's some areas that the paint didn't quite go on very well, especially over the white paint of the emulsion. And then we're going to get the final coat on. There we go. Time to see if it peels. Let's see. Please come off tidy. Not too bad. Oh, look at those lines. They are crisp, apart from this little bit here. Oh, look how crisp they are. That is some good stuff. A little bit of touch up to do. But that is looking... That's pretty much how I imagined it. Just got to do this bit now. Last bit. Look at these lines. They're so clear. I'm so happy with how it's turned out. So next is to get the shelves up and the floor. This is the floor we got. Just like pier and stick tiles from B&M, £14. 2 packs. Should do the job. I just need to clean the floor and then I can start putting them down. It should be pretty easy to cut them. So I'm going to clean the floor and then we'll get them down. So out comes the sugar soap. A little like scotch pad thing. I think it's a scotch pad. Scratch pad. Anyway, get your floor nice and clean. Once the floor was clean and dry, we can start putting these lovely tiles down. Now, these were really easy to lay. So the floor is flat, is clean, and you can just cut them with scissors. So initially, I just started laying out where I wanted it. Once you get the first tile in, they can just go in one after the other pretty easily. Around the toilet, I used some cardboard from the box from the tiles. to cut the shape I wanted first, almost like to get a template, and then I cut around the tile with some scissors, and then they were all in. And like I said, it was pretty straightforward. Only thing I would say is if I did do it again, I'd put some like tile adhesive down, some sort of glue, just to help them stick. Now, once they're down, put anything you can find that's heavy to push the tiles down, and then let it sit for about 24 hours if you can. We left this overnight and it did a pretty good job. There was a few areas that just needed a little bit longer. Time to put some shelves up. So these shelves are just a standard like floating shelves from, you can get from B&M, where else can you get them? Argos, maybe done out, like £10 each, but they come with the backs, they're floating, but they always sag. So what I've got is some brackets. So I'm gonna put some brackets underneath. I painted them white, these are old ones from around the house. Hopefully they're gonna look pretty good. So let's get them up. Perfect. Right, that's pretty good. I need to give these another top coat because the colours are slightly different. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that. So next, let's get the other bits on. Okay, so this set we got from Amazon. It was like £8. So hopefully it'll be all right. So yeah, shelves are up. They were pretty cheap. I just had to buy the brackets because I had the shelves already lying around the house, painted them up, matched it to the walls, and they're looking good. Right, so here I got so lucky. Everything I put into the wall was hitting wood. So I think this toilet is like lined with wood before they plasterboard and skim it. So these went on easily, nice and secure. Here we go. Toilet roll is on, the most important part, obviously. And then we can start getting the mirror on. And then the picture frame, magic. We do need to get a nice print for that. So that is next on the list. And now it is time for the reveal.